Hello, people. Welcome to the Foundational Infrastructure Working Group meeting. Action items from last time. Joseph did this thing here.
All options are bad. Great news.
Let's discuss this more when we go over issues. And I also saw a PR for this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What we have here. Still the same thing. Still. I don't know. Maybe Benjamin joins today. Progress on those. We have progress here. This is almost ready to merge. We just need another review, and it's I don't know if Rajan is gonna do it. We did look at it at some point. I can ping him once it's so they Ryan made changes to also add Cyclone DX. It's just the wrong file name, because according to this it needs to be CDX. So, but we have that. I think it's ready. So almost done. We have here comments from Brian. Okay, I don't know.
Based on the name, I haven't looked at this at all, but so this is presumably they added the bash completion last year via PR, and sounds
Yeah.
like that's noisy during tests, and this tries to resolve it. I don't know if it's going to break anything.
Yeah, I couldn't get it to work, so.
Yeah, me neither.
So-
Like it doesn't work on my machine. So. Maybe the
Somebody,
tests are complaining that it's broken.
we could ping the person who made the PR and ask if this seems sane. Give them a week. I can look them up real quick.
Aram made the PR.
But the auto completion? No, that was
Oh
somebody.
no. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that's
sure.
a PR from like a few months ago.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's fine. Then we can do that.
Angelmon.
This one.
Yellow.
Let's see.
I think once I have the time again, I will implement it at some point. Yes. Wasn't this discussed last week with the?
Yes, we discussed this, and actually Ahmed wanted to try this out because we have a setup with Bosch in Bosch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can wait a little bit. Maybe next week we have. Yeah, it's all also assigned.
Does your Bosch and Bosch run on AWS at all?
Yes.
Interesting. We fixed an issue in the AWS CLI this week. In one of our
CPI.
Yes, sorry, the CPI. In one of our tests, it basically deploys, does a create env on AWS, and then it copies the .bosh installation folder into a different concourse container so that it doesn't have to recompile it for like the destroy step when it calls the Bosch delete env. And that stopped working when the AWS CPI went to Ruby 3.2 because it seems like the CPI's gems were no longer being installed. I don't know where they were being installed previously, but it was doing like a bundle during packaging. And in 3.2, the bundled gems were getting installed into user local bundle, which is not part of Bosch install target. And so it was causing this deploy to fail because it couldn't find the gems. But it seemed like that behavior should have broken anybody doing Bosch on Bosch. You won't break a normal create env because you're not copying the packages around. But we fixed it this week. But I was surprised that you all didn't see that issue. It would have been fairly recent though, because we only bumped to 3.2 like in the last month or so, I think.
Then I didn't experience it because I did my bootstrap like 2 months ago for the last time on AWS. So,
but it would have required a Bosch on. It won't fail with just a regular create env because it's when it's compiling the CPI, it puts them in the wrong spot. So if it's just a Bosch director, it compiles and uses them on the same VM.
oh, okay.
I don't know. I didn't hear anything in that direction.
No, that's not true. If you would like recreate that director and the packages are already compiled.
That's true. If you're using compiled, well, you can't use a compiled CPI.
No, you cannot use a compiled CPI, but like it would still cache the compiled packages. So like it would
With a
compile
create
them.
env?
I believe it puts them in the no. Every VM, I think so. Like if the stem cell is the same and you just do the like -- recreate on create env.
The compiled packages end up in user local varvcap data, which is not persistent disk. So if you recreate, they're not in the actual blob store. I don't think they're in the agent blob store, which is not on persistent
Aren't they
disk.
downloaded to the like client, like the place where create env is running from?
No, nothing comes back from the VM.
You sure?
There's a lot that happens in real Bosch. And when you look at create env, it's like, don't do anything, just do this very narrow happy path. which is why you can't update a create env VM, which someday I hope to fix.
Maybe you can ask some of the SAP folk here
I
on
mean,
the
it should be fixed now.
think.
If it
Mhm.
surprises me that it didn't break anybody, just because what we saw in the pipeline and what we saw that the CPI was doing, 'cause it was like just very not smart. And the CPI was just like bundle and put it wherever during packaging. So now it does what the Bosch director does, and it sets a it actually calls the Ruby release. The Ruby release package has a function to do the right thing, and the CPI wasn't calling that. It's like Bosch local bundle or something is the function. And then when at runtime, you have to like set your gem home to the right path to get the gems out of the right spot. But like it wasn't doing any of that, but it is now. But it just sort of surprising that when I saw what was going on, why the pipeline was breaking, I'm like, SAP should definitely have broken stuff.
Yeah, I would take this. I would take this and ask around.
Yeah, it
Thanks
could be that you didn't
for
bump.
the update.
It could be that you didn't bump to the Ruby 3.2 version of the CPI yet. But if you do now, it should be fixed.
Has that been released? Yes.
Yes. The concerning part was I made the first change and it was wrong because I just used the packaging side, but I didn't put anything at the runtime side, and still nothing failed. Like it's kind of weird that these pipelines don't exercise this use case at all. A little bit concerning, but our secondary pipeline that was breaking is now fixed, so at least there's that.
Okay, but it only affects this version, right?
Yeah. So
Because here's the bump.
it's only like a week. Yeah. So maybe that's why you didn't see it.
Most probably, yes. But is this mentioned in the release not somehow to?
What was that?
Is this
Makes sense to
mentioned in
put
the
it-
release notes so that people don't use that version?
Yeah, I'll update the release notes, put a known issue. I mean, the 103 has the issue on it, I think. It should. Well, actually, I don't know. There's no 103. I have to click the button. When I click the button later, to actually make the 103 release, I'll update the 102 to say point at the issue or the pull request and say it's a known issue.
Ah, this one. There's actually no release yet. Yeah. I see.
Yeah, we should update these pipelines. We do the Bosch director everywhere, but it's hard to remember that. And now it's like, when are we going to cut another one? We'll actually see it work.
Thanks for that detour. um,
This was my action item. Which I saw none of this conversation for.
oh yes, that was the whole thing. Yeah, I did a review there.
I didn't want to put that in there because we're not going to update that ever. And it's going to be jammy and we're on like Xenio like 2030 or something. Also, when we have Noble soon, like it'll be wrong. So
This is how you get viewers on your recording. Yeah, sure. I think then we can.
we are losing the old instructions, but it's discoverable in the pipelines if you really want to figure out how to do this manually.
People shouldn't. This is easier.
What? Oh. mean, it's technically, it could be used. It doesn't seem like it should be used. Wait, can it be used? Was that ever checked anywhere?
Apparently, it looks like it.
Like I saw a lot of like config and test, but no actual like, if this is enabled, actually do post deploy.
Isn't that documented
Okay,
also
right
on
there.
Bosch.io?
It's here, right? This unless
Yeah, yeah. Is that on Bosch.io? Only in the release properties that are auto-generated, I think.
when is this commit?
Oh, is it 9
5
years?
years, 4 years.
And since then it has not been. Okay.
I don't know why you would ever have created a config property for this and disabled it for false. Like, I don't know. I don't understand.
There was probably an
Which
edge use
feature
case
flag?
somewhere.
Probably a what?
Flagging, so
An edge use case, like
Like we don't want to run post deploy
I don't know.
errands, tasks. Yeah. We don't want people to be surprised by sudden post deploys running. Instead, we'd rather them be surprised by software not working because it was expecting to run post deploy.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what people try to do with Bosch.
but we had discussions a while back, right? If we were running post deploys, but then apparently we were because it has been on for a long time since this commit basically. Right? Even
Maybe.
if we would set it to false, it would still be like it was just removed here altogether from the director YAML. So like even if you set it in the release,
Oh,
yeah, that's what
so Brian's just cleaning it up. I see. Yes.
he did a deep dive like
What does
How
the
did you
property
find
do?
this?
Nothing.
so we have been specifying this property for a while, right? I think we got questions on like, can't we enable this? And like apparently we already did.
I believe we actually exposed a checkbox for our customers to turn this on or off, and it was like off by default or something. And Brian apparently finally was like, "Does this do anything?" No.
Nice. That's quite a
Oh,
good
that's
find
something in
actually.
Opt Manager.
Yeah.
Why would you delete the config but then just change the property value? And somebody was pairing on this.
Looks
Oh,
like
Opt.
pairing is a bit of a waste. Uh,
3 people looked at it if you look at the commit. It's okay.
Good news. Directory code base got a little bit smaller.
what?
Okay.
I don't hate this at face value, but I hate this because you are adding 2 additional gigantic packages to the release that everybody's going to have to pack around in all of their compiled releases now. Oh no, wait.
No,
You
gonna
vendor an
just
individual
one
package. Okay. Yeah,
individual
no.
package.
Yeah, the whole release doesn't come. Just the packages. Yeah, you vendor specific packages.
I don't
Yeah.
like the name Old Stable.
I don't like all.
Weird.
No,
Wait, why would you want old stable? Wait, there's 2 stables at the same time?
Stable and old stable, like an older version stable, like the previous stable version. I don't know what.
Stable -1.
okay. So maybe if you have ideas about naming, comment here.
Is it? But why would you not want to? Why would you want to? If you, the problem is if you rely on old stable in your CI or whatever, you will also get bumped. It doesn't matter what you do. You will always, or you either keep up with old stable or you will either keep up with stable. It's, I don't, unless you are manually retrieving stuff, but that's also weird.
Does anybody have context on what stable and old stable are?
It seems that he wants like, when there is a new version, he wants to have like old stable.
No.
Like the previous stable that we had. But the problem is we bump and we already have the package name. So
But like, so that would be, we
Yeah,
have one, right? That's the virtual package basically.
Mhm.
yeah. And then you can do the specific versions, which you can then. I would explain that to him. We already maintain 2.
Yeah, because we're not. You could just use this, right? Like
That's then the
1.21.
old stable in his view.
Yeah. Because that's already floating, right? Like it will get all the patches.
Yeah. Well, not anymore because I don't think we bumped this anymore, but oh, it still is 2 weeks ago. Okay. So yeah, instead of relying on Golang 1 Linux, you can choose a specific version.
I am very confused about what the word stable means.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Going to the Go version, well, going to the wherever they link to, and then over there they talk about stable and old stable, and then it talks about if stable is provided, actions will get the latest stable version from Go version's repository manifest, and that links to this big YAML file. I'm like, oh great, there's going to be things marked as stable in there, and that will help clear this up. Everything in there is stable true, all the way back to like Go 1.9 says stable true. Nothing in there is stable false. So like, I don't actually know what stable means.
Yeah, it's a bit of a. Yeah, it's a non. Well, maybe if you go to beta versions of Go, then
But we don't
don't know.
want any of those.
I think the whole stable thing is weird.
So old stable is apparently in -1 and stable is in. But like we already have stable is for us. I guess they're just trying to get the terminology to match. And I guess they kind of want an old stable. The desire for an old stable isn't unreasonable. Because often when a new Golang comes out, it breaks everybody. And then, in a couple months, you figure out what you're going to have to do. So when people auto bump to, if they're on Linux 1X, like it's kind of painful. So a lot of teams do hang back in -1 on a version. I don't know if stable and old stable are the best names. It would match whatever they linked to here.
Okay.
The one I don't think we should get rid of 1-Linux, but it is kind of a weird name because they're never making it 2. 1 is basically stable, but it's not super clear from the name.
It's basically Golang Linux. It's not.
Yeah, right.
But changing that is going to be horrible. We need to change.
I wonder if we could put symlinks in here.
I don't know.
Something to
Probably.
experiment with. I mean, it's not costly to add new names in here, but it's super cheap. It's just like add some symlinks. Symlinks probably don't work because the package name is in the package spec, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. That won't work.
They're all generated. I don't know. Seems like it needs some reviews and some discussion. But like the desire for an N-1 package is something that's would be very useful. Which I feel like they didn't do a great job of describing in the issue.
I mean, they say, I don't know, the desire is communicated here, right? What they want.
But I mean, their desire is like they could just use 1-Linux right now. Their desire is, I assume, I'm making an assumption here that what they really want is not to be on latest and not to have to go change this every time a new Linux version comes out. So they want
But
to
I mean,
stay
like,
on
that's what they
N-1.
specify here, right?
Right. But they're not just saying like, this is my desire. I want to not auto bump and stay on N-1. They're like, make stable and old stable. Here's the solution to a problem that I'm not clearly stating. And maybe that is the best solution if that's what I don't know. I don't know about modeling things off of GitHub Actions, like is the best course of action, but
We already have a 1, right? We could also go with a 0. Because it's less than 1.
Minus one. It's a dash one. And
We-
it's a minus.
We take the
Not
1,
dashes.
we do -1, n is 1, -1, 0. Yes. It's gonna be great. Yeah.
definitely feels like old stable is a bad name. Previous stable. Something.
Yeah, previous stable sounds already a bit more like
Old stable, I'm like, so is it the oldest possible version that's stable? Like,
let's go 1.
Is that how you write that?
But still, then we need to change everything, right? So we
No,
also
you don't
need
have to use it.
you add new
Golang
ones.
1. Oh, and at some point you want to get rid of Golang 1 then.
Meh. Like, these don't require any effort on anybody's part. Like, there's like a YAML file you go edit when a new version comes out, and then you run like a bash script and it regenerates the pipelines. So it's mostly
true.
just
It's not a lot of I understand, but yeah. Someone looking at the packages, he's going like Golang 1, Golang stable, previous stable, what the hell?
that's true. They are sort of forever things. Once we put them in here, they're very hard to get rid of. Although if we do like stable more, we could just delete Golang 1 Linux. Like, you know, it's going to require people's auto bumps are going to fail, and they're going to be like, "What's wrong?" Oh, stable 1. It's not like it breaks production code. It's going to break some pipelines, and you're going to have to go in and fix it.
Mm.
And it's going to be like a 1-line change, presumably. No, you have to change your code because you got to require the depend on the new package.
Yeah, China. Well, what else to say?
Yeah, I mentioned this in the channel.
Yeah, it's broken.
Is being worked on?
No, there is no China. China's gone. All of our accounts were deleted because the person who we paid to pay the people in China every month apparently quit. And so we weren't paying them for months, and then they deactivated our accounts, and we can't find anybody, and nobody wants to make new accounts at Broadcom. And if the community, if CFF wants to make some AWS China accounts, which in the past they have not, we could in theory add it back. But like right now, there are no China accounts, And all light stem cells previously in China will probably disappear very soon. But there's heavy stem cells. Want to use China, use heavy stem cells. Nobody wants to do that because uploading a heavy stem cell to China is nearly impossible because the China region is terrible. China regions. Don't let me not knock both north and northwest.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Is this something for the TOC actually to discuss also?
They could. It is like CFF will not be able to get a China account directly. Like the only people who can have China accounts are companies in China. So you have to sort of contract. So CFF would have to contract with a Chinese company to like have an account, and then we get to use the account, and it's a
Depends
mess.
on. It could be that LFX has something for that.
That could be.
So we should at least ask Chris. I will do that.
I will also check on our side where this is impacting us. I didn't share anything, but I'll check.
Not LFX, right? It's L Linux Foundation.
LXC?
What's the X part?
Extreme.
Yeah, it's definitely, but it's that LFX is the inside stuff.
Everything has an X nowadays. Just
Yeah, why? What's the X part in LF?
Edge. Seems like Edge. LF Edge.
Like I keep saying LFX, but
It's
it's a thing, but why?
Doesn't seem to be well documented here.
Linux Foundation. But so they don't call themselves the LFX, do they? Yeah, yes. This was the fastest way to get here. Oh, like what's the difference? I don't understand.
who cares, dude?
That it's important. I don't know why.
Let's spend 20 minutes on this.
Yes. Okay.
Doesn't seem like it stands for anything based upon their docs. They just talk about it. LFX is a suite of tools. We're
You
not
need
going to
to
tell you.
add the X. You forgot the X ribbon.
No, because it's the Linux Foundation that should help, not LFX, because that's a suite of tools we just learned.
Possibly extreme tools.
This is a thing, but we don't have an issue to track things globally. Issue, new issue. Noble stem cell, and then we can do that thing where you can have task list. No. What was that? Oh wait, no, that's is this it? No. What did we use when we did the FIP stem cell? That was issues. What's the markup for that? It is a task list. Okay. Right. That's Because then we can start tracking things across repos. That's what I'm mainly concerned about. Because we have a lot of issues on the wish list. Yes, now we can add other things. I will add the things from the wish list here. And then we have it all
Okay.
in one place.
Did you add this to the wish list?
Can you add the wish list to the wish list?
I can. Here, done. Um,
Then we have a
Sometimes
stable and there's no wish list.
no, that's not that thing.
Get rid of system D and C groups and just go plain one here on my
By the way, if you ever make a concourse job that depends on a job that depends on pass constraints from B, that depends on, and then C depends on B, and then A depends on C. So you make a loop of jobs. It works fine. It will not render the UI. The UI just breaks.
Nice.
GitHub issues, they seem fine.
This is I don't know. Open for contributions. And this is in discussion, right? Okay. That's it. Any other business?
Were there no other issues further down?
Oh yeah, we have not looked at the dates. 11th. That's it.
Oh, yeah, this was I already yeah, we can make a loop. I'm fine with it. The only thing I was worried about is it's only run on first boot anyways. So the only thing I was thinking about is, okay, if first boot goes into a loop, what is going to happen? But if we just do a break after five retries, then I'm fine with it.
Do we want to ask them if they want to make a PR, or do we want to make the PR?
No, they probably don't want to make a PR. I will fix it. I already pasted the code. It's just making a PR. It's just okay. I already tested it, so.
And does loop depend upon first boot adding the set dash E?
Yes, because the dash E is just does this file not exist? If it not exist, then.
Oh, sorry. I thought that they suggested adding that. I thought they said that first boot doesn't have a set dash E inside of it, so it doesn't error ever.
Well, it does have a set E, but the problem is that it doesn't inherit it from.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, so it will fail, but you will never see the failure.
Got it.
And it's also edge case. It's like it's a timing issue at some point. Like,
Yeah, I've never seen it. Well, that I know of.
I've also
I don't know.
never seen it. So, but they have saw it multiple times. So I'm okay with it.
Just run, like if you start running at scale, you will probably encounter it.
Yeah, I don't do that.
We don't run things at scale.
One VM's enough for anybody. Call it test.
That's great. Yes. Okay.
Lord of the VMs, one VM to rule them all. Yeah, fuck my life, basically.
You did it. You got rid of the C group's V1
No,
hack.
yeah, I removed that.
I'm
but-
sure no problems were caused.
No, the problem is the freaking firewall rules that we placed like last year for Monet.
Mhm.
And so at one time, now I fixed the firewall. I have the firewall in place, but now the agent won't start anymore because it's not placed. The PIT is not placed in the proper things. Problem is the firewall rules can also be not created before Monet is started because C groups are not static. So it needs to happen like in a proper sequence. And so I need to make wrapper scripts now that do stuff, and I need from systemd, I need to call this wrapper scripts, and
Didn't the agent itself put itself in the right C group before?
no,
So it
because
was
you
the
need to have that. We have that permit. We need to add that PIT file to the
open
uh,
namespace or something.
yeah, to the process, like the system slice fs sys fs system slice of C group system slice monet server slot / process proc or something. I don't know. I will look it up. Yeah, C group dot procs. That's where the PIT file needs to now be added, and then it works. And I tested it. It works, but this, yeah, that needs to happen in a proper
This
sequence.
So wait, is this different than what's going on in firewall provider Linux in the Bosch agent? Where it's setting up NAT's firewall?
Yes, it's different. This is like direct the IP tables that is created within. If you go to asset, this is the helper script, and if you go to assets,
The helper script I thought was intended for people running Monet
the
or people who wanted to run
the
Monet.
restrict Monet API access. That's
Oh, this is Monet. Sorry. Yeah. I was thinking of the NAT's firewall stuff.
no, that's different. So these groups it now needs to be called different because --c group doesn't exist anymore within C group v2, so it now needs to be path. No problem there. The Monet isolation class ID doesn't exist anymore. So basically what only needs to happen now is the PIT of the running process now needs to go within the Monet process group, C group.
What about the NAT's firewall stuff? Doesn't that need to be changed too?
Didn't look at it yet. but
That's
I-
what's, I mean, the Monet stuff's going to prevent the agent from like starting stuff, but the NAT stuff's going to prevent the agent from even booting, right? Or at least
that
talking to the director.
works. So that works currently. So I could deploy.
That seems
stuff.
great.
Yeah.
But also, no, that's also dependent on. No, that's
Oh, sorry. The NAT stuff is using Mangle. I don't know if it's using C groups.
yeah.
I
that's
don't use
what
it.
I'll-
Uses. It's different, I think.
Yeah. It's just, well, actually, I don't know what it's doing. I'm not going to pretend to know what it's doing, but if it works, it's great.
I haven't looked at it yet. But at some point, I wanted to even like install firewall D to handle stuff for me. It's like, but I now understand what needs to be done. The problem now is I need to build a wrapper script because I need to put the PIT file. I need to get the PIT file and put that from the current process. And also when it happens, when it restarts, it needs to remove all the firewall rules and put the firewall rules back. When Monet is restarted, because if Monet gets restarted, a different C group will be created with different PIT files, etc. So then it needs to be. It's a mess. I don't like.
Didn't it just use a deterministic C group before or something? Like we chose some number and like this is the C group that it's in, and just the
Yes.
firewall rules always target that, and then the PIT
Yes.
always gets dropped in there. Okay.
Yes, that's not the case anymore for C group C2.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is.
But that sounds easier.
But yeah, I'm working on it. Hope I get it tomorrow fixed, actually. 'Cause the wrapper script is now failing for me, and that's the only thing I need to fix now.
At least there's a path forward. Ish.
Alternate pass forward, delete mod it.
Great.
Did we talk about making this an inv property? Doesn't seem like it.
I don't know.
I think we don't make it an inv property for now. We just disable it and let people complain, and then we'll potentially add
I
an
mean,
inv
you can
property
always
later.
use OSConf to add it back, right? But then,
True.
like for debugging, if you have no jobs.
Yeah, that's why inv
We-
property is.
But we do have an env property for it, right?
We have an inv property for setting the authorized keys and an inv property for setting the password, but not one for making it so you can actually SSH with the password. That's just static, and it's only enabled on vSphere, which is kind of weird. You're like, set the password. It's like, it's set, and you can't use it.
Yeah, that makes sense to put in an env property, right? Because it is quite useful sometimes, like in really rare cases, right? Like if you need to do some debugging.
I mean, in
Maybe.
theory, it's equally as useful as just setting an authorized key.
Yeah, you could always do that.
That's like a little bit more work, but like technically
Say
better.
You want to install some security scanner that only can install itself through using a static password. That's the same across all the VMs.
I think we might end up with an inv property to control this, but like it seems like first pass just like make somebody demand that.
Yeah.
Because better security posture if you just can't SSH with passwords ever.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. By the way, guys, I need to go, so
Bye.
see you later. I will watch the movie.
There's only comments from you.
Yeah.
That you did that thing. And another thing.
Let the man go. Let him get back to work. He's clearly doing stuff.
I'm doing stuff.
Yeah, this is discussion.
Yeah, what was
Do
this
we
about?
want to go over the options?
They're all bad. We're probably gonna, I mean, the only viable one is we do what the agent is doing and writes a config file into that third option in the middle bulleted list. We write a config file there, putting Bosch DNS as one of the options, possibly also with a config in there saying only reference this for like .bosch.local or whatever. We might have to parse the aliases file too, but we don't have to do that. And then, but that means that it's going to ask us and ask everybody else at the same time. So we also, when we do that, have to sort of disable recursors on the Bosch DNS. So we have to change Bosch DNS to like just functionally disable recursing and leave that up to systemd resolved to handle from now on. So it's basically not using 90% of the functionality of Bosch DNS, which, yeah, I mean, in fairness, we didn't want to build any of that when we built Bosch DNS. And the only reason we did is because we had to, because the way of etc resolve worked. And so now we get to sort of move back into a world where, well, that's somebody else's problem. It doesn't mean that we get less control over it, because sometimes people want to sort of say, well, don't use this DNS server is coming from this interface, and I don't want you ever to use that. And so they would put that on the deny list of resolvers for Bosch DNS and easily control it. Now it's a little bit harder to control, but also I think that the only reason people wanted to do that is because often those resolvers that come in are for specific things. Like Google adds one, and it's like 169.254, and it's only for resolving like .google local stuff, and systemd resolved will handle that for you. And only things that match are the only things I'm going to ask that about. It's got searchers and whatnot. So like maybe all those problems just go away and you just don't even need these features of Bosch DNS. So it's a good thing to try, I guess, and see if there's use cases that it doesn't work for. But like all the other options are like really, really bad. It's basically like throw away, try to make it's fighting against systemd resolved are all the other options. I hopefully am going to get some time to work on that tomorrow, but we'll see.
This one, no, yeah, I'm just gonna update that. Any other business? Okay.
All right.
Leave it at that. Thanks.
Thank you all.
Take care. Bye.
You also have a nice day. Bye bye.
It's a key episode.